Hey, I'm Christian Bucher, the Associate Pastor at LFC. I pray that this message encourages you, builds your faith, and gives you perspective to see that God is moving in your life. Enjoy the message.
We're going to be diving into Exodus chapter 3. So if you got your word of God, you can go ahead and start going there. But I just want to give you just a little bit of a backstory before we jump into the main text. Is that okay with you? Awesome. But the book of Exodus, it begins 400 years after Joseph's brothers, the Pharaoh that Joseph served under, they all died. Okay? Anyone remember who Joseph was? Yeah? He wore a pretty colorful coat, or a robe, excuse me. They even made a movie about him. Anyone seen Joseph, the King of Dreams? Yeah, some church people, yes, okay. Listen, as a pastor's kid, that's the movies that we could watch, okay? Joseph and the King of Dreams was amazing. But listen, we're here, they're dead, and 400 years later, this is where we're at. And the Bible says that the Israelites, they became extremely fruitful. They were so numerous that they filled the land, okay? There were a lot of Israelites. But here's the thing, there was a new king of Egypt. And this king, he didn't know who Joseph was. He never even heard of him. It's obvious he never saw Joseph in the King of Dreams. He never saw that movie. He didn't even know who Joseph was. But this king, he was threatened by the Israelites because there were so many of them. He's like, yo, we got to get these peeps out. We got to figure out something to do. We got to deal with this problem now, or else the Israelites, they're going to join our enemies. They're going to end up fighting us. So we got to do something about this. So what does he do? Pharaoh, he forces the Israelites into slavery. He forces them into slavery. And then he sets a decree that every newborn Hebrew baby boy must be thrown into the Nile River. Do you know what lived in the Nile River? Crocodiles. Not just any kind of crocodile, but the most dangerous crocodile ever. The Nile crocodile. You can Google it. Most dangerous crocodile. The Nile crocodile is going to pop up. But listen, this was his decree. The Israelites are growing too much. We're going to take the newborn Hebrew baby boys, we're going to throw them into the Nile River, and they're going to get eaten up by these Nile crocodiles. But there was this woman, and she wanted to save her child. So she put her child in this papyrus basket and put him along floating into the river. And Pharaoh's daughter finds the basket and gets the baby boy out and takes him as her own and names him Moses. Moses, he grows up, and I'm just summarizing, y'all. Go ahead after church. Go to Exodus chapter 1, 2, 3 and read it. It's good. But Moses, he grows up, and one day he kills an Egyptian who was beating an Israelite worker. He runs for his life in fear to a town called Midian. He meets a priest. His name was Jethro, and he marries his daughter, and then he becomes a shepherd. But one day Moses, he was tending his flock. And he saw in the distance, there was this bush, and it was on fire, but it wasn't burning. It wasn't, if you put a bush on fire, it burns to the ground, right? It just becomes ashes, right? You put some marshmallows on a stick and you have some s'mores. But not that this bush was different. So he goes over like any other man would do. Ooh, a bush on fire that's not burning down? Ooh. He goes over to the bush and a voice comes from it. Moses. Moses. The Lord was speaking to Moses from the bush, and Moses, he replies, here I am, Lord. And this is where we are right here in Exodus chapter 3, starting in verse 7. Then the Lord told Moses, I have certainly seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I've heard their cries of distress because of their harsh slave drivers. Yes, I am aware of their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians and lead them out of Egypt into their own fertile and spacious land. It's a land flowing with milk and honey. The land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live. Look, the cry of the people of Israel has reached me. I have seen how harshly the Egyptians abuse them. Now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people Israel out of Egypt. But Moses, he protested God. Who am I? Who am I to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt? And God answered, I will be with you. And this is your sign that I am the one who has sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God at this very mountain. But Moses protested, if I go to the people of Israel and tell them, the God of your ancestors has sent me to you, they're going to ask me, what is his name? What should I tell them? God replied to Moses, I am who I am. Say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. Whew. Friends, I got 3 revelations from the burning bush that I want to share with you today. Are you ready for it? The first revelation from the burning bush, God's plan comes with a promise. God's plan comes with a promise. God's like, Moses, here's the deal, man. I'm going to send you to deliver my people out of Egypt. And Moses is like, that's the plan? Me? Really? But God's plan comes with a promise. You see, God's promise is found in verse 8. So I have come down to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians and lead them out of Egypt into their own fertile and spacious land. It is flowing with milk and honey, the promised land. Can I tell you today that God will never give you a plan that doesn't have a promise? God's plan comes with a promise. And you know, sometimes I feel like this is how we think. Like God, he gives us this call and a plan, and he tells us this is what you're gonna do. And then we're like, this is what I have to do? Like, I can't do this on my own. Can I tell you, God's not gonna leave you hanging. God won't leave you hanging. And the thing that we get caught up in is that we want to know all the details. Anyone need to know all the details? Yes. Listen, you're talking to the dude that every night before bed, when my mama would tuck me in, I had to know what we were having for dinner the next day because I had to have my whole day planned out. I know what you're talking about. Got to know all the details. And can I just tell you, if you didn't know this already, I just got to break some news to you. 99% of the time, God gives you a plan. He's not going to give you all the details. Why? Because he doesn't have to. Right? Like this is simple. He doesn't have to. He is saying, listen, trust me. Trust me. I got you. I'm not going to leave you hanging, right? Just do what I say and I will get you there. Jeremiah 29:11, it says, for I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans that are going to prosper you. They're not going to harm you. They're going to give you a hope and a future. God's not going to leave you hanging. He's not going to do it. But it all comes down to this. We got to trust him, right? We have to trust him. Proverbs 3:5, it says, trust. Someone say trust. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Psalm 18:30, it says, God's way is perfect. All the Lord's promises prove true. He is a shield for all who look to him for protection. Guys, God, he won't break his promise. Listen, God, he had a plan for Moses' life. Can I tell you that plan didn't just start when he was at the burning bush? He was giving him instructions at the burning bush, but God had a plan on a plan and a call on Moses' life from the beginning. Think about it. Pharaoh put a decree out to kill every Hebrew newborn baby boy. Put him into the Nile River. God's hand of protection was on Moses' life. When he was placed into that basket and floating down that river, how many Nile crocodiles you think swam past him? Think about it. And then check this out, not only that, but when Pharaoh's daughter took Moses from the river, she was like, hey, go get a Hebrew woman to come and nurse this baby. Guess what Hebrew woman they got? His mother. God knows all the details. We don't got to know them. God's plan, it comes with a promise. When you think about God's plan, when you think about the details of the plan, don't you think we can trust him with it? God's plan comes with a promise. The second revelation from the burning bush, it's this: don't disqualify what God has qualified. Whew. Don't disqualify what God has qualified. God's like, Moses, you're going to lead my people out of Egypt. But what was Moses' response? He said, you must lead my people out of Egypt. But Moses protested to God, who am I? God, who am I? Who am I to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people out of Egypt? Who am I? God, I'm not good enough. God, I'm not called enough. I'm not smart enough. Who am I? Have you ever caught yourself saying stuff like that before? I have. Who am I? We didn't read this, but later on, Moses, he keeps protesting God. And when God was giving Moses instructions, one of Moses' excuses was, God, but I can't talk right. I got a tongue tie. God, I'm not good with words. I have a stutter. Who am I? You know what God said? He said, who gave human beings their mouths? Who makes them deaf or mute? Who gives them sight or makes them blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Can I tell you today that God says that you are his masterpiece? You are his workmanship. You are established. You are sealed with his promise. You are redeemed. God chose you. I'm pointing at all of you with all my 10 fingers. And online. God chose each and every one of you. Don't disqualify what God has qualified. Jeremiah 1:5 says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. John 15:16, it says, you did not choose me, but I chose you. I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit and that your fruit should abide. So whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give it to you. Do you understand today that God has chosen you? He's chosen you. He's placed a call on your life. Everyone in this place has a promise on their life. Stephen Furtick said this, since the enemy can't take away the promises God has made you about who you are in him and who he desires to be to you, he hangs question marks over those promises. Do I need to read that again? That's good. Since the enemy can't take away the promises God has made you about who you are in him and who he desires to be to you, what he does is he hangs question marks over those promises. You got a promise on your life. But listen, someone in this room has got to stop entertaining that conversation with the enemy about what he says you are, and you got to step into who God says you are. Can I tell you, the enemy, he's a liar. And he's going to keep on telling you lies. Don't give in to it. Don't give in to it. Anyone like horses here? Okay, we got some hands. Only some of us do. Okay. Well, when it comes to the study of thoroughbred racehorses, a thoroughbred, it is often referred to as a blood horse. Someone say blood horse. And for over 300 years, the people who deal with blood horses, which they are expensive, okay? A lot of moolah. But the people who deal with them, they are called blood stock agents. Okay? And a bloodstock agent, it is someone who buys and they sell horses that cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And these people, they study horses. They know the genealogy of horses like you wouldn't believe. It's crazy. A bloodstock agent. But here's what's interesting. A bloodstock agent doesn't deal in horses. They deal in blood. They deal in blood. So what I'm trying to say is a bloodstock agent, they don't look for the prettiest or the biggest horse out there. They're not looking for how cute or what color that horse is. It could be strong and mighty. They don't care. They just want to know one thing. He wants to know what is in the bloodline of that horse. This horse, it could have a swayed back. It could have floppy ears, and it doesn't matter. He just wants to know what's in its bloodline. He doesn't care about the weight, the outward characteristics. When you buy a thoroughbred, you are buying a bloodline. So in 1999 and in 2000, North America's leading sire was a horse that was named Stormcat. And Stormcat, he was an American thoroughbred stallion whose breeding fee was $500,000. That's just the breeding fee. $500,000. It would cost a lot of money if you had a mare that you wanted to breed with him. So what do you get for $500,000? Do you get any guarantees? Do you get anything that you know is going to be a return in your investment? Nope. You don't. You get a foal that is born. It's got cloudy eyes. It's got super wobbly knees. It's weak. It's gonna shake. And at that moment, the bloodstock agent will gladly, he'll pull out his checkbook, and he'll write a check for $500,000. I'll take it. The bloodstock agent is not put off by the present weaknesses. He understands what's in the bloodline. Oh, this is good. He understands what's in that bloodline. He'll pay thousands of dollars because he's not purchasing the present achievements of that weak, pitiful foal. He's purchasing past achievements solely valued on its predecessor's victories. The worth of the foal is solely attributed to the bloodline that he comes from. He might look weak. He might look defeated. He might look like he's never gonna win a race in his life. He might look like he's not gonna have roses around his neck or win the Kentucky Derby. On the outside, it doesn't look like he's a winner. But if he's connected and comes from the right bloodline, the blood will overcome his weaknesses. And the bloodstock agent knows it. Do you understand that the wobbly, that foal with cloudy eyes was sired by Stormcat with wobbly legs? He was sired by Stormbird. Stormbird, a son of Northern Dancer. His dame was Terralingua, who was an outstanding sprinter who was sired by Secretariat. Anyone know Secretariat? The power of a bloodline is that you receive all the achievements of those who have gone before you. Are you understanding what I'm talking about today? I'm saying that you have been bought with a price, the precious blood of Jesus. You are his masterpiece. You are his workmanship. You are established. You are sealed with a promise, and you are redeemed. 1 Peter 1:18-19, it says, you must know, recognize that you were redeemed, ransomed from the useless, fruitless way of living inherited by tradition from your forefathers, not with corruptible things such as silver and gold, but you were purchased with the precious blood of Christ the Messiah, like that of a sacrificial lamb without blemish or spot. Come on, if that doesn't make you holler and shout, I don't know what else will. Oh my goodness. Carter, could you get me that water, please? Thank you. Listen, when I was a teenager, I was super involved in youth group. I sat on the front lines. Awesome, holla at you. But I was very involved in youth group. Excuse me. And this one weekend, we went on a fall retreat. Went on a fall retreat, and we were shooting, doing archery, and doing a whole bunch of stuff that kids like to do. And but there was horseback riding. There was horseback riding, and I wanted the biggest horse. Biggest dude wanted the biggest horse, and I literally fought a kid over this horse because I wanted to ride it. Well, it was a bad idea that I picked that horse because I got on that thing and it wouldn't listen to me at all. I would tell it to go left, it was going right. Maybe I was doing it wrong, I don't know, whatever. But it wouldn't listen to me, and we're riding on our horses. It's just like a nice little walk. We're not running or anything, but we're just on this horse, going down the path, and we get to the end of the path, and there's a wide open field to the left. This horse turns to the field and it takes off. I'm on this sucker, holding on to the reins. Oh my goodness, we're going. I'm holding on to its neck. It stops and it's starting to like kick back and trying to buck me off. And then the helper dude comes, are you okay? Shh, horse, calm down, and I'm just like freaking out. Can I tell you, ever since that day, I've been afraid of horses. When the dude came and was trying to calm the horse down, I'm trying to act as cool as I can because I can't look weak, right? But I'm admitting I've been afraid of horses since that day. So the other week we go to the fair and we went to support our LFC kids. They were showing off some sheep, and some of them were barrel racing and racing these horses. And they're beautiful creatures. I love to look at horses. But after the races, we got to go into the horse stable. Y'all should have seen me in that stable. There's a horse right there. I was like, I'm against the wall. But that's the thing. You can't be against the wall because there's a horse over here and you're just like, they're great. But I've always been afraid of horses. I'm going to pull this back. Moses had a hard time believing that he had been chosen because he was afraid. He was afraid. Can I tell you that when fear is in the front seat of your life, you will question God's promise over your life? That's what happened to Moses. And if you're here and you struggle with fear, can I tell you that is not coming from God? That's coming from Satan himself, and he's trying to distract you from fulfilling God's purpose for your life. We got to stop entertaining the enemy by answering his phone call. Stand firm in who God says you are. Stephen Furtick, he also said this. He said, if you keep handing the bully your lunch money, don't act surprised when he keeps taking it. Don't entertain that conversation with the enemy. He's going to keep spitting lies, but you know who you are in Jesus. Listen, there was this one time we lived in Findlay when I was a kid, and our house, in the kitchen, there was a window, and it looked out into our backyard and into the whole neighborhood of backyards. And there were a bunch of boys in the neighborhood. So a lot of them were older than me, but we would go out, we would play football, and we'd play tag and have fun. But anyways, they would always kind of pick on me. Like, they were bullying me in a way. They would grab onto me and just jump on my back. I would have one dude over here, and just 3 guys on my back, just trying to take me down, wrestle me all the time. Only me, out of all the kids, only me. But one day, my mom was cooking in the kitchen. And these boys were they were all over my back, and I was younger than them. They were bullying me, and my mom saw, and you know what she did? She opened that window. Christian, you show them who's boss. You're bigger than them. Come on, take them down. You got this. And you know what that did to me? You know what that did inside me? Ooh, the Incredible Hulk came out, baby. I was like, ha-cha, ah-ha. I took out them boys. Come on. Don't disqualify what God has qualified. That's good. God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. Ooh. The last revelation from the burning bush. God's power is in his person. Moses protested. He said, if I go to the people of Israel and I tell them the God of your ancestors has sent me to you, they're gonna ask me, what's his name? Who should I tell them? What am I gonna tell them? God replied to Moses, I am who I am. Say this to the people of Israel. I am has sent me to you. Don't you understand? I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am from above. I am God Almighty. I am holy. I'm the door. I'm the good shepherd. I'm the light of the world. I'm the bread of life. I'm the Lord. There is no other like me. I'm the Lord who heals you. I'm the Lord who makes all things. I'm the Lord, the God of all flesh. I'm the Lord, the God who divided the sea. I'm the resurrection and the life. I'm the Son of God. I'm the way. I'm the truth. I'm the life. I'm your salvation. I am your shield. I am with you. I am with you to deliver you. I am with you to save you. I am with you always. Friends, can I tell you today that the same I am that was with Moses is with